Hi, welcome. My name is Sarah. I am the Director of Customer Success and Support here at meez, and I'm here with Jess Broom, who is our Head of Services and Implementation. She's the big brain in the room, and I'm mostly the talking head. Uh, but we're here today to talk about concierge services. And I am going to be as punctual as I possibly can with this. Because I know that in our business, time is our most valuable commodity. So thank you so much for joining us at 2 p.m. on a Monday. I understand how valuable your time is. We're going to try to put the meat of this in the first 5 minutes of this webinar, and then we'll take some time for questions and get into what you might want to talk about, and then we'll go through some examples. So that's basically the format. So what is concierge? Concierge is so many things. It's basically the premium package of our services. So this includes recipe upload service. So getting your recipes from wherever they exist, whether that's on paper, in Word docs, in Google Sheets, getting them into meez should be easy, right? Should be drag and drop. It's not yet there, because what if you have chocolate milk instead of and it goes in as milk chocolate every single time. So it takes like a second look on every one of those recipes to make sure that the ingredient that is there is the right one. And our team are experts at that. The second piece of this is menus and understanding your analytics. So once you get all of your recipes in, that's step one. After that, Jess, what is step two?
Step two is getting your recipes costed. So we're going to bring in invoice data from whatever system you may be using already. We have an invoice processing system that we can also get set up. And so basically, we can cost all of the ingredients that you've already called for on all of your recipes. And then at that point, should be ready for building out menus.
Yes, but behind all of those costs and are linking them to the ingredients, which with the services package, our team will do all of the linking. And then also building the unit of measure equivalencies, which is everybody's favorite term, the bridges between weight, volume, and each. Our team will make sure that for each ingredient that you have in meez, those equivalencies are defined so that once you have a cost in there, it's going to convert no matter how your team manipulates it. The next piece of this, we also support nutrition and allergen analysis. So if you want to link all of your ingredients back to the USDA database, whether they are common or branded items specifically, our team can help with that. Purchase item mapping, we just touched on. That's the costing portion of this, linking back to vendor items on invoices. And once those items are linked, it's worth saying, as soon as that, the next time you buy that, the next invoice is going to automatically update your costs. So once they're mapped, you're good to go. It's really just the setup that takes so much time, and we understand that. So that's the first half of our services. The bottom portion here, we also will handle inventory setup. And then once we've got all of your pieces in, we'll walk you through profit margin optimization, food cost optimization, and also some recipe detail services just to help you make sure that your operations are lining up with your goals. The recipe services portion of this. So this is really just, again, moving your recipes from wherever they exist today, getting them all into the meez database and organized in the way that you want, whether that's through recipe books or different concepts, different locations. Our team are experts at this level of organization. And we, again, will also make sure that your prep actions are there so that your yields are reporting properly. So if your recipe calls for 1 each orange juice, but you meant 1 each orange juiced, that they will actually say that. Our team will make sure that we call attention to any questions that might be there. And yeah, that's the majority of recipe services. Menu dashboard and inventory services. So again, we'll get into a couple of examples on this, but this is essentially, we will build your menu. We will map the recipes that belong on your menu to the menu items. We'll have you do a double check at the end, and then we will import your sales mix from whichever POS so that you can see how your menu is performing across each dish, across whichever time period you are looking to improve. Again, we will do the inventory setup. So making sure that you're counting accurately. Meez inventory counting allows you to count in any unit of measure. So if you've got chicken breast by the case in the walk-in, but by the each on the line, you can count both ways. It's all good. And this allows for easier ingredient management. And again, the purchase item mapping, which links back to your menu cost. The final piece of this is at the end. So now we've got all of your data in. You've got recipes, you've got costs, you have unit of measure defined, you have all the yield percentages are in there. All of the math is done and it's live and it's evergreen. Important. Now we bring in a specialist that will help you with food cost optimization and profit margin optimization. This is an option that you can take at the end of Concierge. You can also just utilize the dashboard and make your own decisions based on the data that you now have. We'll walk through what that looks like in a moment. But the big reason is why? Why would you use our admin services or Concierge for that matter? The main reason is because we're the experts. The entire success team at meez are former chefs and consultants and all of the things. So we understand, we know that it takes time and we know which questions to ask. And we know where the problem areas are to look for. We are also extremely detail oriented, especially Jess and her team. That is why she's in implementation. We will make sure that you're not missing anything. Like, we're here to back you up. And then we will also share the best practices because we've been here for so long. And also in the industry, we know both sides of the technology and the culinary operation, and we understand how important every single penny is. So we will make sure that we find all of those for you. So this is how Concierge works. It's pretty simple. Start with a kickoff call. So once you sign up, you're going to meet with one of our team members, and we will walk you through these steps in detail. But basically, you're going to start by giving us your recipes. Then we're going to gather all the rest of the data. So anything that is menu items, ingredient lists, suppliers, get your invoice processing set up, all of the other relevant pieces to just bring into this ecosystem that we're going to then organize for you. Step 3 is we get everything organized and ready to go. Step 4 is we now show you what is done and show you how to use the tool, both in culinary operations and in the back office practices. And then 5, this is where that specialist steps in and takes it specific to your business, asks you a series of questions, and works with you one-on-one to really optimize your food cost percentage and your overall profit. Okay. A lot of staring at slides. Any questions so far? Or are you ready for us to get into some details?
Hi, Sarah. This is Toby from Lunchwired. Can you guys use I always forget what it's called, but basically a connection link between Plate IQ, let's say, and meez?
Yes. So
Okay.
if you're using Plate IQ for invoice processing, we can absolutely take a feed from there. Yes.
Okay, so that bridge is already built, so we don't have to pay like an extra.
There is depends on what plan you're on. If you're on the Premium Plus plan, it's included.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We can chat about it after if you want to and see where you're at to get you the next step. I just need your email address, but I think I have you. Liz,
Okay.
you got that right. Okay. Any other questions? That was a good one.
What's the cost? Is it an added cost?
If there is an added cost. So it depends on what you want us to do. So for the concierge, which is the big one with all of the things, this includes a year subscription of Premium Plus for one concept. It's $6.99 a month. This comes with that big consultation at the end to really make sure that you're getting what you need. There are also other levels. So if you're just looking for recipe uploads and the purchase item mapping and basic data management, that is here at 5 hours a month, and it's $225 a month for that. This one in between, maybe you have more concepts or more recipes or more needs. So it's really matched to suit what you need. Okay.
And the hours can be kind of, you don't have to, you're not limited to only using 5 hours of services per month. You could use 25 in the first, when you first sign up, or however that works. And then we'll get all your recipes added. And then, moving down the line, if you change your menu and want to update the recipes in the system or anything like that, it's not like restricted to just 5 per month. It can be used like in bulk in different stages.
Absolutely. We're not going to stop work at 5 hours and be like, well, sorry, you're going to have to go figure the rest out on your own. We'll make sure that the work gets done, and just move your hours to suit that.
You're basically saying you can kind of like prorate.
Yeah. So essentially, like,
Sounds like
if
like
you
if
were,
we needed 40 hours or even 80 hours to upload all the recipes and ingredients, you could do that under
yes,
the admin light, but what you're committing to,
a year.
yeah.
So
Okay.
they're billed per year. We also have an a la carte option. If you're just looking for recipe upload service, we can do that like based on an hourly quote. And let's say you want to cap it at 80 hours for, this whole project. We will stop at that time and just be like, okay, we're getting close. Here's where we're at. Do you want us to keep going? We can certainly do an a la carte option. Helpful? Okay. So let's get into a couple of examples of like maybe why you would want to use this service, because it can get tricky out there, especially the more hands or the more time that you have spent like gathering your recipes over time. Even in my own recipes, this is one of mine. I don't always write them the same way, right? And if you have multiple people writing a recipe of yours, that can also make it really tricky, because maybe you call it salt and I call it kosher salt, but really we mean diamond crystal kosher salt. So why are we calling it two different things? So Jess, not to put you on the spot, but can you see any problems here with this recipe that your team would be mindful of and make sure was fixed?
Yeah, so the main thing that sticks out is orange juice. We're calling for 1 each orange juice. That implies the ingredient, like a purchased orange juice that is already squeezed.
Right.
But it seems like this recipe would be calling for 1 orange that you're then juicing.
And zesting, it looks like, but yes.
Right. So you're zesting it and using the juice from it. So that's the reason you're gonna see on the right-hand side, like costs not set for the orange
Right.
juice, because you're probably not purchasing orange juice, you're juicing whole oranges. So we have what are called the prep actions in meez. So orange comma juice in this case is going to call for the whole orange and then the juice that comes from it. So we've accounted for like the yields, the loss, how much volume of juice you get from 1 orange and what that would essentially cost you. So we're going to make notes of things like that and communicate back to you, like, please confirm that you are calling for a whole orange instead of orange juice, things like that.
Yes, awesome. I also see a problem here in this recipe that I wrote where I said 1 cup of orange and then zest of got moved into the note. But this is clearly an issue on the costing side, right? Because this says 1 cup of orange is going to cost me 88 cents. I know I pay 33 cents an orange. If I look at this and make this to get a cup of zest is a ton of oranges. So that really needs to be added as a prep action. So I will do that live on the call. Although I don't remember this is where Jess would come in and say, this is the yield percentage on that. So I'm adding it to orange. My yield on that, what, like 50, 10? How much of the orange do you actually use? Like
Maybe
10%?
10.
Yeah, we'll throw it in there. And then that I'm going to need to go in and add the EQ for, but our team would do all of this that's happening here and make sure that you have what you actually intended. Naturally, I called it orange zest. This is why I'm not on Jess's team. Anyway, I used to be. It's a long time ago. So now that needs to be updated on the other side so that orange zest 1 cup of orange zest. What do we think? That's like 6 each, 10 each.
Maybe 10 each.
Yeah, equals 1 cup. Okay, so now go back to my recipe. Okay, that looks like a more accurate cost. Now, granted, I can use those same oranges for the juice, so there's some wiggle room in here that I would do on the chef side of things, but now I know this is how many oranges I'm using. If my cooks decide to, like, you know, leave those oranges out of the walk-in and they dry up and desiccate and are completely lost, this is what I would be paying for those. Hopefully I have better cooks than that. The other point that I wanted to make here is I see this light brown sugar doesn't have a cost. I know that I added a cost to this, so I probably called it something else, because why would I wouldn't normally say light brown sugar. So I'm going to take a guess that I have more than 1 brown sugar. Oh, look at that, I do. In my system, and brown sugar has a cost associated with it. I'm doing too many actions for this. So I'm actually just going to merge these so that the original one that I created that has 13 recipes is the one that shows up. And again, this is part of the ingredient management that our team would handle. It's the apricot, right? Yes. And now what shows here should fully cost, because I now have cost associated and have merged that ingredient. So that level of database management is what we're talking about. Here's brown sugar tightly packed. There's the cost, where before it did not have that. Boom. And I also would need to have total yield, but your team would call that out.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed a few things.
That's okay. No, it's totally all right. There we go. Okay. So those are some examples of why you might use the recipe upload service. And again, the side of things where we're handling the costs and making sure to call out anything that really needs your attention. So what happens at the end of admin services for recipe uploads is you get a recipe book that says needs attention. And any recipe that has one of those flags where there might be a question of, like, did you mean orange or orange juice, would be in that recipe book. So at the end of the day, you end up with a punch list of just the things that you need to look at, and everything else is set. Anything that is not existing in a perfect meez world will be in that recipe book. Super helpful if you're just getting started or if you're doing a menu update. Questions on that? Okay. Okay, so in our imaginary world, we now have all of the recipes costed. They're all uploaded. They all look beautiful. Jess's stamp of approval is on every single one of them. You've gone through all of the needing attention. Everything's perfect. Okay, or as perfect as it can be. Now our team will go through and make a menu for you. So here we have an example. Here are all the different menu items, and inside of each of these menu items are the recipes that make up. So both the steak and salsa verde sandwich and the paper goods we added as a recipe here. So we can see all of those things, and because they are costed and have portions, we now can see our overall total menu cost percentage. And because we have added in sales data over this 5-month range, strange. Anyway, because we've added in this sales data, we now also have a picture of what our revenue was for the last 5 months, and what our total profit out of that revenue was, also our total cost. So this is helpful to just see kind of line by line, because you can maybe point out, we can maybe sort by food cost, or maybe I want to see which ones make me the most money per item. I can sort by any of these things. That's really handy and helpful, especially when it's all been built out and I didn't have to do any of the work. But even more powerfully over top of this is our menu insights and engineering. Now this comes with the Premium Plus subscription. So you have access to this right from the top. So here, I think we're looking at, I want to drill in, I want to only look at sandwiches. I'm going to ignore beverages and sides and all that other stuff. Just show me the sandwiches. And out of the sandwiches, I can see which ones are performing. Click out, there we go. Which ones are performing well and not so well. So over here, I've got that same steak and salsa verde sandwich, and I can see that my food cost percentage on that is 28.35%, which isn't terrible, but also is the lowest performing item that we have here. We sell a lot of it, and our profit margin is the lowest out of any other sandwich. You can see here, food cost percentage is 25.19. Our profit margin, therefore, is 71 or 74.81. These are our plow horses, and there's also a handy article here about how to use this. So if you get in here and you're like, okay, culinary school was 3 decades ago, and I don't remember how to do this, we've got you. It's right here. Okay, and it'll walk you through what to do, how to understand the chart, but then also like, what should I do with my plow horses, right? Versus my dogs and all of those other pieces on here. So I can see that my spinach and artichoke sandwich is crushing it. It is the highest seller and also the highest profit margin at 84.33%. Of course it is. It's a vegetable sandwich. But this one that's got tri-tip in it is killing me. It's kind of dragging down my whole piece. Thankfully, it's really popular, so I don't want to take it off the menu. That wouldn't be helpful. But this you get access to, again, with Premium Plus, having a menu built out. And this takes time. That's why you use admin services to get it done for you. One other piece, so there's a ton of useful information in here as far as purchasing, understanding, where am I spending the most money, where are prices changing the most. But one of the most powerful tools is right here. And so I just want to take a second to point this out. So this, if you are only going to count 10 ingredients on a weekly basis in your whole place, inventory is a pain. We all know that. You should be doing inventory. We also all know that. But why, right? To understand where you're actually spending the money, where the waste is coming from, that's really what we're looking to do here. If you were only going to count 10 ingredients, I would take these 10, the top 10 here, because this percentage right here, this is the percentage of your total overall menu cost. This makes up 2.87% of this 22.83. So if we were to make changes just to the tri-tip, we can make major changes to the overall cost with only one ingredient. And that could be either way. Let's say that we get this down to $6 a pound instead of $6.50 or $6.49. That can take off 0.5% off of our total food costs right there, making one deal for 50 cents a pound with your vendor. If you're going to make a deal with a vendor, use this list. On the other side, let's say we are at the max cap of all the deals that we can make with the vendors. We can't do anything else over there. Let's say we waste 10% less of this a week. We can also change this down to 2.37% just by wasting less. So can we get our cooks to be more careful with this one ingredient? Or maybe we decide that like we need to make a change on the menu. So let's dig into this one recipe. One, I'm going to track variants. So I'm going to use this tool to play a little bit. It's my favorite part about menus. So I can see that we're charging $16 for this, and our food, we're charging $14. Really? Wow. We're charging $14 for this, and our food cost is $4.53, $4.53 per sandwich. So let's take a look at the sandwich itself. Here we are in the main recipe. I can see that our roasted tri-tip, one portion is here. I wonder how much a portion is. Let's just open that. So here, this says 6 ounces is one portion. Okay, that I can handle. Down here, actually, I have it costed at 8 ounces is one portion. All right, so if I change my portion size, and let's say we make this 5.5 ounces, what does that do to my overall cost? And maybe I charge, instead of $14, which seems ridiculous for a steak sandwich, when I'm charging $16 for a chicken sandwich, what happens here? If I up that price, maybe we sell a few less, and we'll account for that. But it's also really popular. It's a plow horse. It's doing really well on the menu. So as this is uploading or updating, you're going to see in green, this is the variance, this is the difference. So because of that change that we just made in this fun little sandbox, we just cut our food costs by 0.82% overall on this total menu. And we just made another almost 16K just by upping this by $2. Now, I understand that seems pretty basic. You can always up your prices, but customers get it really upset. So you have to be careful in between here. What do? Do I increase the price? Do I lower the purchasing cost? Do I yell at the cooks harder? Or do I get a meez specialist to come in here and tell me exactly what to do based on my business, based on my history, and all of those other pieces? That is why you would use Concierge. Questions? Okay. Hopefully this did it for you in all the ways. If you have more questions after the fact, please don't be shy. Feel free to reach out to us at support@getmeez with any questions regarding integrations, recipe upload services, admin services, concierge, all the pieces. Maureen, I've been meaning to chat with you. Hopefully we get time later. There's a lot here, a lot of meat. Takes some time to digest it and then price it accordingly. Yeah, I did that. I regret it. I'm sorry. Okay, bye everybody. Thank you so much.